Hello, hello. I am Camden Walker for the Capital Weather Gang. First, we've got a great Monday, sunny, comfortable, warm. It's going to be hard to stay inside. Next, we've got some clouds moving in, maybe just some high clouds, but some filtered sunshine nonetheless on Tuesday. Now, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a little bit lower confidence. Do we see rain chances on top of additional clouds and additional humidity that looks a little bit more likely than the less predictable rain chances? We will discuss all of this in our weekly Sunday Sunset Live Q&A chat. I'm Camden Walker. Anytime you need us, we're at cwg.live, and tonight we are broadcasting there, Facebook, X, YouTube, and Instagram as well. You can find us using the phrase capital weather at capital weather. Good evening, Dave. Good to see you. And AI in Transit, our dams, and AM, and Gabby, and Joan, and JLM. Thank you so much for tuning in on Instagram as well. So other than clouds slowly gathering after a sunny Monday, let's see what else we've got in store. Comfort kind of decreases as we go into the middle, late part of this week. Still good. Pretty awesome tomorrow. Then maybe a hint of humidity Monday night into Tuesday. And I think by mid to late week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, kind of moist, sticky, becoming unpleasant. So keep that in mind in the back of your mind for comfort levels. And temperatures are, generally pretty warm, but we could see I think some of these temperatures above me are a little bit high personally, in case we do see additional clouds, maybe rain chances that are possible. Even spits of rain are possible as early as Tuesday afternoon, but I think most models, most information is agreeing that we do see kind of things waiting until Wednesday, maybe Wednesday afternoon. That's when we get kind of more moderate chances for some showers. And then Thursday, Friday looks like the rainier part of the week where downpours are even possible. And let's show you the precipitation animation. Again, dry Monday and probably Tuesday, though not guaranteed into Tuesday. Wednesday is where rain chances it's a transition day. Do we see a low pressure system throw a few stray showers, maybe a period of light rain by late Wednesday into our area? It's possible. But Thursday and Friday have more signals, more indications. The atmosphere is a little more sure that it wants to throw us some raindrops in the form of showers, periods of rain, maybe a storm or two, and downpours. Not all of them may have thunder or lightning, but we could see some downpours on Thursday into Thursday night. Again, not a high chance, but it's a signal there we want to watch as we get closer and forecast confidence gets higher as we get closer to the middle and later part of this week. And rainfall totals somewhat modest, half inch, maybe an inch and a half south of town, but you can see where the low pressure system is coming from. Generally, south of town is where we might see some tropical moisture, even just being pulled from the Gulf of Mexico by prevailing winds. It might just come up into our area, especially southern parts of our area, in the form of humidity and rain. But we'll see how this plays out. The bulk of this 7 day projection is focused maybe on right now, Thursday and Friday, as the main potential rain days. So it remains to be seen. Again, timing, amounts, and rain chances overall are still up in the air a little bit as we get to the middle and later part of this week. But clouds and humidity are a little more confident for the middle and later part of this week. Elsewhere in the atmosphere, pollen and smoke. So we might see a slight invasion of some surface smoke from Canadian wildfires later tomorrow and into Tuesday. So far, air quality is okay. Yellow, moderate at worst, as it looks now. But we'll monitor this. It's worth seeing. So far, not as bad as New England and northern tier states in the US. And then at the very bottom there, pollen. As I wrote yesterday at cwg.live, that's typically on Saturdays is my weekly pollen update, and I highlighted for you, as you can see in the chart below, mold and mildew spores are taking the headline for this latest pollen and spore report for the allergen update. Let's see, looking ahead, next work week, we might, with decent probability, see above average temperatures. So expect a little bit more warmth continuing into next week. And not directly indicated there, but maybe we see more added onto our heat tracker. The number of days where we've seen 90 degrees or hotter, we're up to 29, which is still tracking above average. We should see on average 27 by this point in the summer. And for precipitation signals next work week, again, this is 8 days out, 8+ days. It looks like there is a slight signal for above average precipitation. Let's check the tropics really quick because I'm sure you have some questions. It's going to be active for the foreseeable future as we get into August. Typically, it's another notch higher in activity for August as we head toward the typical peak of hurricane season activity around September 10th. So we'll see one of these three disturbances, especially the one nearest Bermuda there in the red X has a high 80% chance of developing over the next 7 days. So that has the likeliest chance of being our D name storm, which is Dexter. That is the next name on the list. So we will keep you posted. And irrespective, don't even, it's regardless of whether or not we have tropical identification to what might be moving up the southeastern coast this week. A little bit of wind, a little bit of rain is expected from this low pressure system. We'll see. Very low chance right now, but we'll see if it does take on some tropical characteristics. Not that headline doesn't matter, but its impacts of a little bit of rain and wind, especially along the coast, do regardless of it being a tropical low pressure system or not. All right, I'll put the cloud animation back up there and take your questions on comments on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube. We're at Capital Weather and live at cwg.live tonight. I'm Camden Walker for our weekly Sunday Sunset Live Q&A chat. As you can see, a headline there at the very top, and then forecast at a glance graphically. You can find that at the blog as well. And clouds animated below just to kind of hit home for you. The brightest day of the week and maybe the best overall weather day of the week is tomorrow, Monday. All right, good evening. Let's see, Amy. Yes, a little bit of wildfire smoke is helping the sunset be a nice little tinged color. I'm glad you were seeing that. And David, good evening to you. And April, good to see you, and I hope you had a great weekend as well. I did all right. And Liz, hello. And Leona, good evening. And Charlene, hello there in Pennsylvania. And Aaron, thanks for tuning in on X. It was indeed a really good weekend for August, a great August weekend, says Aaron on X. And hey, Christopher, thank you so much for tuning in from YouTube. And Pewee fan, gorgeous cloud and drama there at sunset. I'm glad even on Instagram, Pewee fan is chiming in about our sunset. Psychologist, thanks for tuning in. Minas and Bristol and Weather WX Freak and SVK and Morgan and MM Namaste. Thank you for tuning in. Let me make sure I've caught up on questions and comments on all four of our social media channels tonight and at cwg.live. Very good. JJ and Dr. and MM, thank you so much for tuning in. Lisa, hello. Good to see you on Facebook. All right, let's review what we were talking about. A great start to the week, the end of the week, if not middle and end of the week, a little more humid, a little more cloudy. That is more confident than the rain chances, which may also perhaps move in for the middle and later part of this week as well. So clouds animated below just to hit home. Tomorrow is sunny. Tomorrow is nice. Please get outside if you can. Dew points are going up. The absolute measure of humidity this week, measured by the dew points, those are going to be increasing throughout this week. So expect it to be much less comfortable by the end of this week than at the beginning of this week. So I think maybe we stay below 70 this week, but it's going to be hard. Sticky, unpleasant air is coming. Precipitation animated over the next week and through the weekend. This expresses a little bit of the uncertainty. Do we see some raindrops as early, maybe drizzle, a couple showers maybe Tuesday afternoon? That's possible, especially south of town. But overall, for DC proper, we think rain chances hold off until very late Tuesday night, maybe a couple showers Wednesday morning. Then Wednesday afternoon and evening, maybe that's when we see a few more periods of lighter rain coming into the area. But Thursday and Friday, that's when we're focused a little bit more on the potential for downpours, a little more moderate rain. A couple flooding downpours can't be ruled out. And this graphic below from it's the expression of do downpours become heavy enough to surpass flash flooding criteria. So there's a very slight chance there for Thursday into Thursday night, if not Friday as well. So we need to watch that. As confidence grows in the forecast by the middle and later part of this week, we will get a better idea of how the atmosphere is going to behave. There's some convergence in our region, especially as you can see south of town by this map. This is the 7-day precipitation accumulation of rain. So over the next 7 days, rain is leaning more south of town than north of town. So slightly heavier amounts where the low pressure system is off of the Carolina coast, potentially throwing some moisture our way. Gulf of Mexico could be pulled with some prevailing winds. Some other tropical moisture could stream in here as well. We're an interesting place to be on the continent this week in the mid-Atlantic. So we'll see how it all comes together. Again, more confident in rain south of town, and Thursday, Friday, even around town, appear to be the days that we're watching for a better chance of rainfall, but amounts of rain, timing of rain, the overall chances of rain, still a little bit up in the air. So just note that forecast confidence does go down as we head through this week, but we're going to stay on top of it and really home in on the forecast as we go through this week, and we'll keep you updated at cwg.live. Now, elsewhere in the atmosphere, smoke and pollen to talk about. Some wildfire smoke kind of trying to seep south toward us from the Canadian provinces. We'll see. So far, air quality is going to be okay in the moderate range. Projections right now, that's yellow. So suboptimal, not great, but not bad either. And then pollen levels are generally okay, but as I highlighted yesterday in my kind of weekly update at cwg.live for pollen, mold and mildew spores are taking the headline numbers for our allergy updates. So if you are especially sensitive to mold and mildew spores, that's been affecting you recently in this most recent pollen count and spore count. All right, nearly last and least, let's look ahead really quick toward next work week, 8+ days out. Looks like we are, with decent probability, having an above average signal for above average temperatures in next work week. And this may add some onto our heat tracker. So far, still tracking ahead. Average year to date is 27. We have 29 days where we've already hit 90 or hotter. Precipitation wise, next work week, 8+ days out. The signal is slighter, but still leaning above average for precipitation next work week. And a tropics check really quick, becoming more active, and especially with that one of the three disturbances that the National Hurricane Center is watching over the next 7 days near Bermuda. That red X has the best chance, about an 80% chance of developing into our next named storm. Tropical Storm Dexter would be the next storm on the list. If that disturbance is able to attain 39 miles per hour or higher sustained winds. All right, so let's put up the dew point scale as I answer your questions and comments. Just to reiterate, the air is going to get a little less comfortable with higher humidity as we go throughout this week. So clouds and humidity are more confidently kind of increasing in the middle and later part of this week. The question is rain chances. That remains to be galvanized. We really need to watch the information which with each passing model run, the four model runs, the main model runs over the next few days, just to see, get a better idea with more confidence on rain chances, amounts, and timing as we go to the middle and later part of this week. All right, Sammy, good to see you on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love all those weather emoji. That's fantastic. Rick, I don't see much end currently in the foreseeable future for Canadian wildfire smoke. So I think it's going to oscillate up and down depending on where the jet stream helps blow it over the coming weeks. We need to cool things down, get a little more rain, and that should happen in the coming weeks. But in the foreseeable future, I'm not very confident that's going to happen right now. Susan, loving our current weather after a hellacious July. Excellent. Agree with that. And Ron, good to see you. And I'm waving back to you on YouTube. And Matt, the hurricane models that we were just looking at, let's check one more time. So Matt, thanks for tuning in on X. We have three disturbances being watched by the National Hurricane Center over the next 7 days. The lowest probability one for developing into a tropical system at all is the one that's closest to us, off the coast of the southeastern United States. I think maybe a 20% chance of developing into a tropical system over the next few days, 7 days. Now, here's what's important to remember, regardless of whether it's labeled a tropical low pressure system, the impacts of some wind and some rain, especially along the coast and even south of DC, more likely than north of DC, that's going to happen. This low pressure system looks like it does want to develop. Whether or not it takes on tropical characteristics is kind of beside the point. More textbook interesting than anything, but we'll see. It does have a slight chance to develop into a tropical depression and tropical storm, but still, some sort of low pressure system looks like it wants to develop off the coast. Now, it might be a cold core, mid latitude type typical system. Anyway, it's going to throw some breezes, some winds, and maybe some rains near us, if not south of town, if maybe around town, as we go through the middle and later part of this week. It is an ingredient in our weather this upcoming week. Irrespective, regardless of whether or not it becomes Dexter, the D-name storm, the D-name storm is more likely to be out near Bermuda, where that red X is. That's 80% likely to develop into a tropical system. All right, cloud animation below just to hit home. Tomorrow is sunny, probably the brightest day of the week, so please get outside and enjoy that sunshine. Rick, you're most welcome. David, I can't believe it's August already either. Johnny, Craig, Matt, thanks so much for tuning in. Ethan, Bridget, and we got Hello Jenig. Thanks to you as well for tuning in. You have a great week as well. Thanks for tuning in on Instagram. All right, let's make sure I've caught up on questions and comments on all of our social media channels and the blog. We're live on five channels tonight. We're broadcasting cwg.live, our blog, and our 4 social media channels as well. You can find us at Capital Weather. Thanks so much for everyone tuning in for our weekly Sunday Sunset Live Q&A chat. I'm Camden Walker, and anytime you need us again, we're at cwg.live 24/7. Got a few more minutes. Johnny, I think the North Carolina beaches could see some breezes, maybe a little bit of wind and rain this week. Uh, Regardless of that low pressure being labeled a tropical system, it looks like there will be some storminess in the area of North Carolina beaches this week, especially middle and later part of this week. SH, Milish, and Ted, and H squared. Yes, a little bit cooler this week, and I wish I could give you even more cooler weather. I hope you enjoyed this weekend, H squared. Marie, you're most welcome. And Susan, yep, drought is not a concern. We are sitting pretty. There's no drought in the region whatsoever. And over the next 7 days, we're getting anywhere from quarter inch north of town to maybe an inch south of town. That's the preferred area for rain. One ingredient we have talked about is that low pressure system off of the Carolina coast, maybe developing into a tropical system, but low pressure system looks more likely. Tropical label, maybe only 20% likely. So a low pressure system, maybe, probably not tropical, will still throw some breezes and rains our way, especially south of town over the coming week. All right, David, good seeing you. Thanks for tuning in as always. And Caroline, appreciate you tuning in and your kind words. And Marie, you're most welcome. And CZ and Richard and Foxtrot and Anna, good to see you. And Fern and Smosh, thank you so much. All right, so let's do a quick recap. I have a couple more minutes. Uh, Clouds are going to be increasing this week. So is the humidity. I think we could get maybe sticky and pleasant, maybe near 70-degree dew points by the middle, especially later part of this week. Less confident in that humidity, like behind the confidence we have of yes, clouds are going to increase. Yes, humidity is going to increase. Do we see rain chances develop by the middle and later part of this week? We think so, but the timing, amounts, and chances overall where they're going to focus, that is still remains to be seen. As early as Tuesday afternoon, we could see some drizzle, a few stray raindrops and showers south of town. More likely around town, we see rain chances hold off until maybe late Wednesday. Is that maybe just showers? Is that a few periods of light rain? That's on the table as well. Now, here's what's a little more confident, a little more interesting. Thursday, Friday, the signals are there for maybe some heavy rain. Flooding downpour chance for Thursday into Thursday night is pictured below. Still a low chance, but it is a signal the atmosphere is already throwing in advance our way. And again, the rainfall amounts are healthy, modest. North of town, lighter. South of town, a little heavier. And then elsewhere in the atmosphere, we have talked about wildfire smoke invading a little bit potentially later tomorrow into Tuesday. Air quality okay, moderate, yellow. So nothing terrible expected yet, but worth monitoring this week. And at the far below there is kind of a summary of my pollen report that I put out yesterday at cwg.live. Mold and mildew spores are taking the headlines in this latest allergen report for the latest readings. Now, looking ahead quickly to next work week, over 8 days from now, temperatures are showing us a signal, decent chance for above average temperatures in next work week. And that's when maybe, not too likely this week do we see another day with 90 degrees or hotter. But I think maybe we look ahead to next work week. If you're interested in tracking more onto our heat tracker, I personally am not. But we're already above average for year-to-date numbers, and maybe we track on more 90-degree plus days next work week. And also for precipitation next work week, a slight lean for above average precipitation next work week. And yep, tropics are active. We'll see a low pressure system maybe off the southeastern coast. Very low chance it actually takes on tropical characteristics. So let's focus on rain and maybe some breeze impacts on the coastal areas and especially south of town. Regardless of whether or not it's going to be labeled tropical, the more likely candidate to be our D name storm Dexter is that X storm, the one near Bermuda, which has an 80% chance of developing. I think that could be our D name storm. The next name on the list is Dexter. All right, that is my 20 minutes. I appreciate seeing all of you this week. Stay comfortable as humidity increases middle and later part of this week. Tomorrow is, I think, the best day of the week, so please get outside, enjoy the sun, comfortable humidity, comfortable warmth, and rain-free conditions. So that, and I think even the air quality should be pretty good through at least early afternoon. And even if we see a little bit of smoke, it's not going to be too bad. Claire, good to see you. Amy, Dr. Finn, M. Loud, and Laura, and Matt, and BK, good to see you. Let me make sure I have not missed any questions and comments. Excellent. All right. Susan, you're most welcome. Steve, good to see you. And Culpepper and Paul, appreciate your kind words. And you have a great week too, Dave. And I will see everyone next week for our weekly Sunday Sunset Live Q&A chat then. Bye for now.